I was only interested in my music, an obsession I inherited from my older brother, Richard. It was really Richard that had all the Bowie records, and I remember when Bowie sort of did the Ziggy thing, Richard kind of went off him a bit and went more to Alice Cooper, so it was a bit darker. So I inherited Bowie. Oh my God, the record of all records. He swallowed his pride and puckered his lips, showed me the leather belt round his hips. I fancied him a little bit, this period. It's quite cute. In the corner of the morning in the past. When my brother Richard gave me Bowie's album, The Man Who Sold the World, I literally wore it out. Oh my God. Bowie was unique because he was so contradictory in every way. Because he wasn't like the archetypal kind of homosexual or bisexual. He wasn't really even that, I don't think. I don't know what he was. But for me, yeah, he was everything. Absolutely everything. I lean back on my radio. The album came out in 1972, and that summer I first saw the alien land on Top of the Pops. It was a light bulb moment. I had to phone someone, so I picked on you. I hear the sound. Hardly any Stardust reached Elton, but my brother and his mates were always slipping off to a place that sounded a bit like Las Vegas. When rock stars came to South London, this is where they came to Lewisham Odeon, which is now part of Briggs. Why did they knock it down? Awful, sacrilege. I came to see Rod Stewart and the Faces here. I came to see David Essex, Blackfoot Sue, Chuck Berry. I mean, I was always here. And if I wasn't at a gig, I'd be at the back of the stage, hovering in the hope that I would see someone famous. The biggest gig I ever saw here was in 1972 when I was 11 and 11 months old, and that was Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars, which for me was a life-defining moment. It really changed everything for me. Even from the back of Lewisham Odeon, David Bowie was bigger than he'd been on TV. He created an extraordinary landscape. He wore makeup and said he was bisexual. He wasn't ordinary, he was all-powerful, a superhero. I knew Ziggy Stardust was a character and David Bowie was the performer. The clothes and the makeup gave him an edge, but when he took them off, he was just a boy from South London like me. Turned out we lived on the same bus route. My older brother Richard sent me to the chemist to develop some Kodak film. And I think I was allowed to get some sweets with some of the change. So I'd gone off to the local shops in Middle Park with this film. And I got to the chemist and I was standing outside and I was chatting to some friends and I remember it was a really hot day and it was about 11 in the morning. And as I was talking to these friends of mine, I turned around and there was a bus and it said Beckenham. And I was like, a bus from Elton goes to Beckenham, and I just jumped on it. Yeah. All the fans knew that David Bowie lived in Beckenham. My friends Joe and Danny have come with me to tread the holy ground. Everyone knew that inside, David and Angie lolled about in velvet jumpsuits, eating space food and getting visits from Lou Reed. I'm sure it was there. I know it was on this main road. I think this is it. This is where it was. So this would have been the back garden.
Wow.
This area. The house was kind of like an Edwardian mansion block. He had a flat in it. You could see washing all the night. So we were sort of contemplating getting over and maybe nicking some clothes. I don't know, like maybe there's Bowie's pants or something. And we were sitting outside most of the day. And at some point in the afternoon, Angie opened one of the windows and was like, why don't you all just fuck off? And we were like, oh my God. You know, it's like acknowledgement. You know, I mean, it was the highlight of our year. But this place just is not recognisable. The following summer, Ziggy was dead, killed off on stage at the Hammersmith Odeon. I knew Bowie would be back. He was just changing costume, but he left a huge glam vacuum. Bowie went off to Berlin, didn't he, and sort of disappeared. And there'd be little snippets of things in the press, and you'd see articles, and there would be pictures. When he came back in 1976, I was at Victoria with all the other fans. You know, he's wearing sort of, it was kind of like Hollywood sort of collared a shirt. Yes, he looked pretty conservative compared to Ziggy, but then he did Boys Keep Swinging, where he's in drag. It always felt like Bowie was one step ahead of everyone. Even at the time, I knew he was at the cutting edge of the 70s gender debate. But it wasn't going on in our family. My uncles and aunts, the men just did what they wanted, and the women kind of cleaned up the mess, basically. That was the 70s. Bowie knew that alpha males were an endangered species. The new women's libbers wanted to be heard. They had outrageous demands. Equal pay, equal rights, and the appeal they'd been promised in the 60s. I don't think I used the term women's lib, but I was always saying to my mum, why do you let Dad talk to you like that? Why do you let him treat you like that? Men treat women really badly and women put up with it. That's what I remember from being a kid.